The vintage Porsche 356 gleamed in my driveway, its cream-coloured paint catching the morning sun. I ran my fingers along its pristine curves, savouring what would be our last moment together for the next 3 months. My brother Hamza stood nearby, practically bouncing with excitement at being trusted with my pride and joy. I'm Danielle, and that car represented 5 years of overtime, careful budgeting, and passed-up vacations. But looking at Hamza's eager face, I knew I'd made the right choice, asking him to care for it while I was away. "You remember everything I showed you about the soft top?" I asked, unable to keep the worry from my voice. "Yes, sis, for the 100th time." Hamza laughed, playfully rolling his eyes. "Never fold it when it's cold. Always check the tension points and keep it covered when parked outside. I've got this. And you'll start it every few days. These old engines need regular love and attention," he finished, wrapping an arm around my shoulders. "Danny, I promise your baby will be in perfect condition when you get back. You know how much I respect this car." He wasn't wrong. Growing up, we'd spend hours poring over classic car magazines, dreaming about our future rides. While I'd pursued my automotive passion, Hamza had thrown himself into tech startups. His latest venture showed real promise, and I couldn't have been prouder. I know, I said, fishing my house keys from my purse. I just never thought I'd be leaving her with anyone else. "Well, you couldn't have picked a better caretaker," he grinned, accepting the keys. "Besides, this gives me a chance to prove I'm not just the irresponsible little brother anymore." My phone buzzed. My ride to the airport was here. "Speaking of responsibility," I said, "how's the new company doing? Still in talks with those investors?" Hamza's eyes lit up. "Actually, I had a meeting with Joshua yesterday. He loves our concept, says it could revolutionize how small businesses handle inventory tracking." "That's amazing." I pulled him into a tight hug. "See? All those late nights are finally paying off." "Yeah, well, we still need to secure the funding," he said, his enthusiasm dimming slightly. "But Joshua's bringing in another investor next week. If that goes well," the car horn honked again. "You'll nail it," I assured him, grabbing my suitcase. "Just be yourself. Your passion for this project is contagious." "Thanks, sis." He helped me load my luggage into the waiting car. "Hey, maybe when you get back, I'll be able to buy you dinner at that fancy place downtown. You know, the one where we couldn't afford the appetizers last year." I laughed. "Dream big, little brother. Just promise me one thing." "Anything. Take care of yourself too, not just my car. You're working too hard lately." Says the workaholic flying overseas for a 3-month project, he teased. "But I promise, weekly updates on both me and the Porsche." Deal. I hugged him one final time. "Love you, Ham." "Love you too, Danny. Have an amazing trip." As the car pulled away, I watched Hamza in the rearview mirror, standing beside my beloved Porsche. He gave an exaggerated salute, making me smile. Despite our different paths, we'd always been each other's biggest supporters. Him with his innovative tech ideas, me with my classic cars and engineering work. My phone pinged with a message from Valeria. "On the plane yet? Still can't believe you're trusting him with your baby." I typed back, "About to leave. And why not? He's grown up so much lately. You should see him in investor meetings. Totally different person." "If you say so," she replied. "Just remember who told you I told you so if anything happens." I shook my head, putting my phone away. Valeria had always been skeptical of Hamza, remembering too well his wilder college days. But people change. I'd watched my brother transform from a scattered dreamer into a focused entrepreneur. Besides, he knew how much this car meant to me, how many weekends I'd spent restoring it, learning its quirks, making it perfect. The airport came into view, and I felt that familiar mix of excitement and anxiety about the upcoming project. 3 months in Europe, working with a prestigious engineering firm. It was the opportunity of a lifetime, and knowing my car was in safe hands made it easier to focus on the challenge ahead. If only I'd known then how wrong I was about everything. The Uber driver pulled into my driveway, and I felt my heart skip a beat. The spot where my Porsche should have been sitting was empty, just a rectangular patch of clean concrete surrounded by fallen leaves. "This the right place?" the driver asked. I nodded numbly, dragging my suitcase out of the car. Maybe Hamza had just taken it for a drive. He'd promised to keep the engine running regularly after all. But at 7 a.m. on a Tuesday, my hands shook as I called him, straight to voicemail. I tried again, and again. "Come on, Hamza," I muttered, pacing my driveway. "Pick up the damn phone." Finally, on the 6th try, "Hey, sis, you're back. How was the flight? Where's my car?" My voice came out sharper than I'd intended. A long pause, too long. "I can explain everything. I'm coming over, now." "Wait, I'll come to you." I hung up and ordered another Uber. 20 minutes later, I was pounding on the door of his apartment. He opened it looking like he hadn't slept in days, dark circles under his eyes and his usually neat hair dishevelled. "Where is it?" I demanded, pushing past him into his living room. "Danny, please sit down." "No. Tell me where my car is." He ran his hands through his hair, making it stand up even more. I had to sell it. The words hit me like a physical blow. "You what?" The investor backing fell through. Joshua found some irregularities in our projections, and everything was falling apart. I needed emergency capital to keep the company afloat. "So you sold my car?" My voice rose with each word. "My car that I spent 5 years restoring? That I trusted you to watch?" "I was going to buy it back. The deal was almost done. We had new investors lined up." "Stop lying," I screamed, making him flinch. "You've been feeding me updates about the car for months. Pictures of it safe in your garage, stories about taking it for drives." I know, he said, dropping onto his couch. "I just needed time to fix things." "Who did you sell it to?" He wouldn't meet my eyes. "A collector, Evelyn Hamilton." "When?" Another pause. 2 weeks after you left." The room spun. 3 months of lies. 3 months of fake updates and doctored photos. "You sold my car the moment I was out of the country." "The company was going under. I had employees depending on me, promises to keep." "And what about your promise to me?" I grabbed my phone, pulling up his messages. "Just took your baby for a sunset drive, running perfectly." "That was last week, Hamza." "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I'll make it right." "How? How exactly are you going to make this right?" He straightened up, a familiar spark of enthusiasm crossing his face. "The new investment round is looking promising. Joshua is bringing in another major player, Roland Porter. Once that closes, more investors." I laughed bitterly. "Let me guess. They don't know you funded your company by stealing and selling your sister's car?" "I didn't steal it. You left it in my care. To watch it, not to sell it." I was shaking now, rage and betrayal burning through me. Does Joshua know where your emergency capital came from? Hamza's face paled. Danny, please, don't do anything rash. The company's finally gaining traction. We have real customers, real growth built on stealing from your own sister. I headed for the door, then turned back. You know what the worst part is? I defended you. For years, I told everyone how much you'd changed, how responsible you'd become. What a joke. Where are you going? To find out exactly what you've been telling your investors. I pulled out my phone again, searching for Joshua's company. Let's see how they feel about partnering with someone who sells other people's property. You can't. He jumped up, reaching for my phone. You'll destroy everything I've built. I stepped back, my hand on the doorknob. You destroyed it yourself, Hamza, the moment you decided your ambitions were worth betraying your family. Danny, wait. But I was already gone, slamming the door behind me. In the elevator, I found Joshua's office address and scheduled an Uber. My hands were still shaking, but now with determination rather than anger. If Hamza wanted to play with the big leagues, he needed to learn that actions have consequences, and I was going to make sure those consequences came due. My phone buzzed, a message from Valeria. Hey, you're back. How's the car? Gone, I typed back. Hamza sold it. Long story. Want to help me tear down a house of cards? Her response was immediate. On my way. No one messes with my best friend. The investor meeting was already in full swing when Valeria and I slipped into the back of the conference room. Hamza stood at the front, his earlier dishevelment replaced by a crisp suit and confident smile. He was in his element, gesturing at projected graphs and speaking with infectious enthusiasm. Our growth metrics show consistent month-over-month improvement, he was saying, and with the emergency capital injection last quarter, we've streamlined operations significantly. My fingers dug into my palms. Emergency capital injection. Such a neat, professional way to describe selling his sister's car. Joshua, distinguished in his tailored blazer, leaned forward. And these new efficiency numbers, they're verified? Absolutely. Hamza nodded. I can provide detailed documentation. A young woman near the front, who I'd later learn was Bridget, shifted uncomfortably in her seat. Her eyes darted between Hamza and her laptop screen. Something to add? Roland Porter's voice cut through the room. He had the sharp look of someone who'd seen every trick in the startup playbook. No, sir, Bridget said quickly. Just checking some figures. Valeria nudged me, whispering. She knows something's off. I watched Bridget more closely. Every time Hamza mentioned financial specifics, she seemed to wince slightly. After the meeting broke for coffee, I made my way to her table while she was packing up her laptop. Those numbers didn't add up, did they? I asked quietly. She startled, almost dropping her coffee. I'm sorry, who are you? Danielle, Hamza's sister. Recognition flickered across her face. Oh, he mentions you sometimes. You're the one who's been working in Europe, right? Just got back, actually. Found some interesting surprises. Bridget glanced around nervously. Look, I should go. The emergency capital, I pressed. Where did he tell you it came from? He said it was a private investor, someone who believed in the company's potential. She hesitated, but the documentation was strange. The timing didn't match our books. Would you be surprised to learn it came from selling my car without permission? Her eyes widened. What? My vintage Porsche, worth about exactly what mysteriously appeared in the company accounts 3 months ago, Bridget's professional composure cracked. I knew something was wrong. The numbers kept shifting, but whenever I brought it up, she pulled out her phone, tapping quickly. Here. These are the original financial reports, before they were adjusted for the investors. I scanned through the documents she'd pulled up. The discrepancies were glaring once you knew what to look for. "Why are you showing me this?" I asked. "Because I've spent 3 months watching him charm investors with numbers I know aren't real." She looked me straight in the eyes. "And because if he'd steal from his own sister, what else is he capable of?" A throat cleared behind us. We turned to find Joshua standing there, his expression unreadable. "Ms. Gross, isn't it? I wasn't aware you'd be attending today." "Last-minute decision," I said smoothly. "Wanted to see my brother in action." "Indeed." His eyes flicked to Bridget's phone, still displaying the financial documents. "Perhaps we should continue this discussion in private. My office, 10 minutes." After he walked away, Bridget grabbed my arm. "I could lose my job for showing you those files." "No," I said firmly. "You could lose your job when this whole house of cards collapses. Better to be on the right side of it when it does." She nodded slowly, then sent the files to my phone. "There's more. Check the investor presentation from last month. The growth projections, they're completely fabricated." "Thank you," I said. "And Bridget, document everything." I found Valeria by the coffee station, chatting with Roland Porter. From his raised eyebrow as I approached, I could tell she'd been laying groundwork. "Your brother's quite the showman," Roland remarked. "Very convincing numbers." "Numbers can be made to show anything," I replied. "It's the truth behind them that matters." "Interesting perspective." He handed me his business card. "I'd love to hear more about your insights into the company's operations." As he walked away, Valeria grinned. "Ready to blow this whole thing open?" I watched Hamza across the room, laughing with a group of potential investors. He looked so at ease, so confident in his web of lies. My hand tightened around Roland's card. "First," I said, "we have a meeting with Joshua. Then we're going to teach my brother that karma doesn't care how charming your smile is." "That's my girl," Valeria said, linking her arm through mine. "Let's go make some waves." Joshua's office felt like a courtroom as I laid out the evidence. Bridget's documents were spread across his mahogany desk, each page telling its own story of deception. "These projections," Joshua said, tapping one sheet, "they're completely different from what we were shown." "Because they're the real ones," I replied, "before they were doctored for investor presentations." He leaned back, rubbing his temples. "And the emergency capital?" "My car." My voice cracked slightly. A 1964 Porsche 356, worth exactly the amount that mysteriously saved the company. Jesus. He picked up his phone. "Roland needs to see this." While we waited for Roland to arrive, my phone buzzed repeatedly with messages from Hamza. "What are you doing in Joshua's office?" "Please don't do this. We can talk about this." "I'm coming up there." The last message made me jump up. "He's on his way." Valeria moved to block the door. "Let him come. He needs to face this." Roland arrived first, his analytical eyes scanning the documents quickly. Well, creative accounting at its finest. The door burst open. Hamza stood there, breathing hard. "Danny, stop. You don't understand what you're doing." "I understand perfectly," I shot back. "I'm showing these men exactly who they're investing in." "Everything I did was to save the company." He stepped forward, pleading. We were about to lose everything. 15 people would have lost their jobs. So you committed fraud? Roland's voice was ice cold. It wasn't fraud. We just needed time. You sold your sister's car without permission, Joshua interrupted. Then falsified documents to hide the source of the funds. What would you call it? Hamza's face crumpled. Danny, please. Remember when we were kids? How we always protected each other. Don't. My voice shook. Don't you dare use our childhood to justify this. I was going to pay you back, once the next funding round closed. The funding round based on fake numbers. Roland held up one of Bridget's documents. These real projections show you're nowhere near the growth you claimed. We're getting there. The customer base is growing. At 1/10 the rate you presented, Joshua cut in. Did you think we wouldn't find out? Hamza's eyes darted between us all, looking for an ally. Finding none, he slumped into a chair. I just wanted to succeed so badly, he whispered, to prove I could build something real. You built a house of lies, I said, and used my trust as the foundation. Valeria, who'd been quietly watching, spoke up. How many other people's trust did you abuse, Hamza? How many other lies are waiting to come out? He didn't answer, which said everything. Joshua stood up. I'm calling an emergency board meeting. Roland? I'll contact the other investors. Roland nodded. Ms. Gross, we'll need you to make a formal statement. Of course. Danny. Hamza tried one last time. Think about what this will do to my career, to my future. You should have thought about that before selling my car. I turned to Joshua. There's one more thing. The buyer, Evelyn Hamilton, I'd like to track her down. Already on it, Valeria said, holding up her phone. Found her website. She's a major collector in the area. I'll have my assistant set up a meeting, Joshua offered. The least we can do is help recover your property. Hamza stood suddenly. Fine. Destroy everything I've built. But remember this moment, Danny. Remember you chose revenge over family. No, I corrected him. You chose lies over family. I'm choosing truth over enabling you. He stormed out, leaving a heavy silence behind. Well, Roland said finally, this has been enlightening. Ms. Gross, expect a call from our legal team. We'll need to discuss next steps. After they left, Valeria hugged me tight. You okay? No, I admitted, but I will be. What happens now? Now? She grinned. Now we go find your car, and maybe teach your brother that karma's a much better teacher than success. My phone buzzed again, a message from Bridget. Board meeting set for tomorrow morning. Need me to send more files? Send everything, I typed back. Time to clean house. Looking out Joshua's office window at the city below, I felt a strange mix of sadness and resolution. Hamza was right about one thing. This would change everything. But maybe that's exactly what needed to happen. Come on, Valeria said, pulling me toward the door. I'm buying you a drink. You can tell me all about this Evelyn person we're about to hunt down. The conference room buzzed with tension as I prepared my presentation. Board members filed in, their faces grim. Hamza sat at the far end, looking like he hadn't slept in days. Bridget quietly placed a stack of documents in front of each person. Let's begin, Joshua announced, nodding to me. Ms. Gross, you have the floor. I connected my laptop to the projector. 3 months ago, this company reported an emergency capital injection of $175,000. The source was listed as a private investor. I clicked to the first slide. This was a lie. Murmurs rippled through the room. Hamza stared at the table, The money came from the unauthorized sale of my vehicle, a restored 1964 Porsche 356. I displayed the sale documentation Bridget had uncovered. But that's just the beginning. For the next 20 minutes, I methodically laid out everything. The doctored growth projections, the inflated customer numbers, the creative accounting that hid mounting losses. With each revelation, the board members' expressions darkened. "This customer acquisition data," Roland interrupted, pointing to a graph. "You're saying these numbers were artificially inflated by counting free trial users as paid subscribers," I confirmed. "The real conversion rate is less than 8%, not the 60% presented in investor meetings." One board member stood up abruptly. "I've seen enough. This is securities fraud." "Wait." Hamza finally spoke. "The core business is sound. Yes, I made mistakes, but the technology works. We just need more time." "More time to fabricate numbers?" Joshua's voice was sharp. "More time to deceive investors?" "The numbers were aspirational. They were lies," Roland cut in, "and now we're all exposed to potential liability." A woman I didn't recognize raised her hand. "What about the employees? We have 15 people, depending on their salaries." 14, Bridget corrected quietly. "I resign, effective immediately." Hamza looked stricken. "Bridget, please." "No." She stood, gathering her things. "I won't be complicit anymore. Good luck finding another accountant willing to cook your books." The meeting devolved into heated discussions about severance packages and legal exposure. I sat back, watching my brother's dreams crumble in real time. Part of me ached for him, but a stronger part knew this was necessary. "We'll need to notify the SEC," Joshua announced finally, "and begin immediate wind-down procedures." "You can't just shut us down," Hamza protested. "What about our customers, our employees? You should have thought about them before building this house of cards," Roland replied. "Be grateful if we don't press charges." As the room cleared out, Hamza approached me. "Happy now? You've destroyed everything." "You destroyed it yourself," I said quietly. "Every lie, every deception, those were your choices." "I was trying to build something great." "You can't build greatness on a foundation of lies." Roland cleared his throat behind us. "Ms. Gross?" A moment. I followed him to the hallway, leaving Hamza staring at the remnants of his company. "That was quite a presentation," Roland said. "Clear, methodical, compelling. We could use someone with your attention to detail in our due diligence team." I blinked in surprise. "You're offering me a job?" "Consider it karma." He smiled slightly. "Someone who's willing to expose fraud, even at personal cost, is exactly who we need vetting potential investments." I'll think about it. Do that." He handed me a business card. "Oh, and about your car? I know Evelyn Hamilton. Let me make a call." Back in the conference room, Hamza was still there, head in his hands. "What am I supposed to do now?" he asked without looking up. "Start over," I suggested. "But this time, try building something real." "Why did you do this, Danny? Was getting your car back worth destroying your brother's life? This wasn't about the car." I gathered my laptop. It was about consequences, about trust, about family meaning more than just someone you can exploit when convenient. "I never meant to, but you did, and now you get to learn from it." I headed for the door. "Maybe next time you'll remember that karma doesn't send warnings. It sends lessons." My phone buzzed. A message from Roland. Evelyn will meet you tomorrow at 10. She's interested in your story. Outside, Valeria waited with coffee. How'd it go? About as well as a corporate execution can go. I took a sip. Also, I might have a job offer. She linked her arm through mine. See? Karma works in mysterious ways. Yeah, I said, watching through the window as Hamza packed up his office. It really does. Evelyn Hamilton's estate took my breath away. A winding driveway led to a modernist mansion, its glass walls offering glimpses of pristine cars within. My Porsche could be behind any of those windows. Impressive, isn't it? Roland said, parking his Tesla. Evelyn's collection is legendary. A tall woman in her 50s emerged from the front door, elegant in a tailored pantsuit. Roland, darling, and this must be Danielle. Thank you for meeting with us, I said, shaking her hand. How could I refuse? Such an intriguing situation. She led us inside. Though I must say, your brother was quite convincing when he sold me the car, spoke passionately about needing to sell his pride and joy to fund his company. My jaw tightened. He's good at telling stories. Clearly. She gestured to a side door. Shall we? The garage was a car lover's paradise. Vintage automobiles lined both walls, each one museum quality. And there, in the corner, sat my Porsche. I rushed over, running my hand along its familiar curves. You've maintained it perfectly. Of course, Evelyn said, sounding almost offended. Though I must admit, I haven't driven it. Something felt off about the purchase. Your instincts were right, Roland commented. The seller didn't actually own it. Yes, I've been following the news. She turned to me. Your exposure of the company's fraud made quite a splash in investment circles. I tore my eyes away from the car. I didn't mean to cause a scandal. I just wanted the truth to come out. And your car back. That too. Evelyn smiled. Well, about that. She pulled out a folder. I had my lawyers draw up some papers. The car is yours, of course. I can't in good conscience keep stolen property. I'll reimburse the purchase price, I started, but she waved me off. Unnecessary. Your brother's company is paying restitution as part of the settlement. I've already filed my claim. Roland nodded. The board insisted on making all victims whole. Victims? I repeated softly, the word tasting bitter. I never thought I'd be calling myself that, especially not because of Hamza. A commotion at the door interrupted us. Speak of the devil. Hamza burst in, looking frantic. Evelyn, don't do this. He stopped short, seeing me and Roland. Danny, what are you doing here? Recovering my property, I said coldly. How did you even know about this meeting? Bridget told me. She felt guilty, I guess. He turned to Evelyn. Please, I can explain everything. I believe your sister already has, Evelyn replied smoothly. Quite thoroughly, in fact. But the company's dead. I have nothing left. At least let me try to sell the car legitimately. Work out some kind of deal. It was never yours to sell, I snapped. God, Hamza, are you still trying to profit from stealing from me? I'm trying to survive. Do you know what it's like having your whole life collapse? My reputation is ruined. My savings are gone. And whose fault is that? Roland interrupted. You committed fraud, Hamza. Be grateful you're not facing criminal charges. Hamza's shoulders slumped. I thought I could fix everything, make it right before anyone got hurt. But people did get hurt, Evelyn said gently. Starting with your sister. I'm sorry, he whispered, looking at me with tears in his eyes. I really am, Danny. I got so caught up in the dream of success that I forgot what actually matters. I wanted to stay angry, but seeing him so broken made my heart ache. You could have just asked for help, you know, been honest about the company's troubles. Would you have sold the car to help me? Probably not, I admitted. But I would have helped you find another way. That's what family does. Evelyn cleared her throat. Well, this has been quite dramatic, but shall we finish the paperwork? Danielle, the keys are yours. As I signed the transfer documents, Hamza watched silently. When I finally held the keys again, he spoke up. What happens now? Now? I looked at my car, then back at my brother. Now you start over, honestly this time. And us? That depends on you. I pocketed the keys. Trust takes longer to restore than a vintage car. Roland checked his watch. Speaking of new starts, Danielle, shall we discuss that position over lunch? Yes, please. I turned to Evelyn. Thank you for everything. She smiled warmly. Keep in touch, and perhaps bring the car around sometimes. My collection could use some company. As we left, I caught Hamza's reflection in the Porsche's window. He stood alone in the garage, a man facing the consequences of his choices. Part of me wanted to comfort him, but another part knew this pain was necessary for growth. Sometimes, karma's greatest gift is the chance to rebuild from the ruins of our mistakes. The autumn wind whipped through my hair as I drove the Porsche along the coastal road. 6 weeks had passed since I'd gotten it back, and every drive felt like therapy. My phone buzzed through the car's speaker, Valeria calling. You're not going to believe who I just ran into, she said when I answered. Let me guess. Hamza? At the coffee shop near his old office, he's working as a barista. I gripped the steering wheel tighter. How did he seem? Different, humble. He asked about you. I pulled into the parking lot overlooking the ocean. What did you tell him? That you're killing it at your new job. Roland's team loves you. She wasn't wrong. The due diligence position had turned out to be perfect for me. Every startup I investigated felt like a chance to prevent another story like ours. Did he say anything else? I asked. Actually, yes. He's starting something new. Small scale, totally bootstrapped. Said he learned his lesson about taking shortcuts. I watched the waves crash below. Do you believe him? Surprisingly, yes. He's different now. You should see for yourself. Before I could respond, another call came through. Bridget. Sorry to interrupt, she said when I switched over. But I thought you should know. Hamza came to see me today. I just heard he's working as a barista. He is. But he's also been taking coding classes at night. He showed me his new project. It's a simple app to help small businesses track inventory. No fancy promises, no investor pitches. Just honest work. I leaned back in the leather seat, letting the familiar smell wash over me. Why are you telling me this? Because he's doing it right this time, and he asked me to be his accountability partner, to check his books, make sure everything stays legitimate. And you agreed? Yes. She paused. People can change, Danielle. Sometimes they just need a wake-up call. After hanging up, I sat there watching the sunset. My phone buzzed with a text from Hamza. I know I don't deserve it, but could we talk? Coffee shop on 4th Street. I'm working until 8. 20 minutes later, I pulled up to the coffee shop. Through the window, I could see Hamza working the espresso machine, wearing an apron instead of his usual suits. He looked different, calmer somehow. The bell chimed as I entered. He looked up, surprise and hope crossing his face. "Danny, I didn't think you'd come." "Neither did I." I approached the counter. "Heard you've been busy." He made my usual drink without asking. He hadn't forgotten. "Yeah, well, turns out rock bottom has its benefits, forces you to rebuild from scratch." "Bridget told me about your new project." "It's nothing fancy," he said quickly. "Just trying to solve a real problem the right way this time." "Show me." He pulled out his phone, displaying a simple but clean interface. No more fake numbers, no more shortcuts, just honest code and hard work. "It's good," I said, surprised to find I meant it. "Different from your usual style." "That's the point." He put the phone away. "I'm done trying to be the next big thing. I just want to build something real, something that helps people." The shop was empty, except for us. I sat at the counter while he cleaned up. "You know what I miss most?" he asked suddenly. "Not the company, not the investors. I miss Sunday drives in your car. Remember how we used to plan our futures during those rides?" "We can't go back to that," I said softly. "I know, but maybe we can build something new. Better than before, because now we both know what matters." I studied him, the humility in his stance, the earnestness in his eyes. "Show me your books," I said finally. He blinked. "What?" "Your new project. Show me everything. The real numbers, the code, the business plan. Prove to me it's different this time." "Now?" "No." I stood up. "Sunday, we can look through it during a drive." His eyes lit up, then dimmed. "In the Porsche?" "Baby steps, Hamza. We'll take my regular car first. Trust takes time." "I understand." He smiled, not his old, dazzling entrepreneur smile, but something smaller and more genuine. "Thank you, Danny, for not giving up on me completely. Don't make me regret it." "Never again." He hesitated. "One day at a time, right?" "One day at a time," I agreed, heading for the door. "And Hamza, the coffee's on the house, but next time I pay." His laugh followed me out into the night. As I drove home, I realized something. Karma wasn't just about punishment. Sometimes it was about second chances, about the wisdom to take a longer, harder road toward redemption. And maybe, just maybe, that road could lead to something better than before. The autumn leaves crunched under our feet as Hamza and I walked through the car show. My Porsche gleamed in the morning sun, proudly displayed among other classics. Evelyn had insisted I enter it, claiming, "A car with such a story deserves to be shared." "Remember when we used to dream about having cars in shows like this?" Hamza asked, adjusting the display placard. "Back when you wanted to be a race car driver instead of a tech mogul?" I smiled. Things change. For the better, sometimes. He pulled out his phone. "Speaking of change, want to see our latest numbers?" I glanced at the screen. His app's dashboard showed steady, modest growth. Real numbers, real customers. 200 small businesses using it now, he said proudly. "Bridget keeps the books pristine. We're not getting rich, but we're helping people." And staying honest. Always. He pocketed the phone. Though I did get an interesting call yesterday. From Joshua. My eyebrows shot up. "Really?" "He's been watching us. Said he appreciates how we've handled everything. Offered to make a small investment, properly documented, of course." "Are you going to take it?" "No." He shook his head firmly. "We're doing fine on our own. Slow growth means sustainable growth." A familiar voice called out, "There's my favourite Porsche." Evelyn approached, elegant as ever, with Roland beside her. "And how are the siblings, Gross?" "Getting better," I replied. "One day at a time." "Indeed." Roland nodded at Hamza. "I've been following your new venture. Impressive work. The honest kind this time." "Thank you, sir." Hamza straightened. "We've learned a lot about doing things the right way." "Speaking of right ways," Evelyn interjected, "Danielle, darling, I have a proposition for you." She led me to a stunning Ferrari parked nearby. "I'm getting older, and my collection needs someone who truly understands these beauties, someone with both mechanical skill and integrity. Are you offering me a job? Eventually, the whole collection. I need a successor I can trust." My heart raced. "That's incredible. But what about my position with Roland?" "Keep it," Roland said. "We value your insight too much to lose you. This would be supplementary, like karma coming full circle," Hamza mused, "from losing one car to potentially managing dozens." Valeria appeared, carrying coffee for everyone. "More like the universe rewarding good choices." "Including yours," I told Hamza. "I saw your latest code review. Pretty impressive for a former barista." He laughed. "Hey, making perfect lattes taught me more about attention to detail than business school ever did." A small crowd gathered around my Porsche, admiring its restoration. Bridget joined us, tablet in hand. "Latest audit's clean," she reported to Hamza. "Every transaction documented, every customer verified." "As it should be," he said. "No more shortcuts." I watched my brother, really watched him. The desperate need to prove himself was gone, replaced by genuine pride in honest work. He caught me looking and smiled. "What?" "Just thinking about how far we've come. From me wanting to destroy you to this." "You didn't destroy me," he corrected. "You forced me to rebuild. Better this time." Evelyn cleared her throat. "Well, what do you say about my offer?" I looked around at our unlikely gathering. The wealthy collector who'd unknowingly helped expose the truth, the investor who'd given me a new career, my former enemy turned ethical entrepreneur brother, and the friends who'd supported us through it all. "I say yes," I decided, "but on one condition." "Name it." "The Porsche stays mine. Some things aren't meant to be part of a collection." "Of course." She smiled knowingly. Some cars carry too much history to ever truly belong to anyone else. The judges began their rounds. Hamza squeezed my shoulder. "Good luck. Though with a story like this car's, how could you lose?" "The story's not really about the car anymore, is it?" I said. "No," he agreed. "It's about trust. Breaking it, rebuilding it, making it stronger." "And karma," Valeria added. "And second chances," Bridget chimed in. "And family," I finished, hugging my brother. "The kind you're born with, and the kind you build along the way." The judges reached our display. As I began telling them about the Porsche's restoration, I caught Hamza's eye. He gave me a thumbs up, not the confident gesture of his startup days, but something more genuine, something real. Sometimes the best endings aren't about winning or losing, but about finding your way back to what matters most. And sometimes, just sometimes, karma gives you exactly what you need instead of what you thought you wanted. That's a better story than any car could tell,